morning, all of you. We will continue with the history chapter Struggle for Indian Freedom. And if you remember, we started the chapter with that after the First World War was over, the national movement in India, it became more vigorous, means it became more strong, more active, full of energy. Why? Because the Indians realized that the Britishers, they were making empty promises and they are not going to fulfill any promise to them. And at this particular scene, a new personality emerged on the horizon of Indian national movement, and that was Mahatma Gandhi. So we have had a look at the role of Mahatma Gandhi in freedom struggle. In brief, we have seen, and in brief, we have also seen some of the major mass movements which were launched by the Congress under the leadership of Gandhiji. And so we have had a look at non-cooperation movement, civil disobedience movement, the Rowlatt Satyagraha, the Quit India movement, and then we were basically having a look at the ideas of Gandhiji. So we were having a look at the ideas of Gandhiji. We had a look at his concept of Satyagraha. That Satyagraha, what was that the person who is offering Satyagraha or who is practicing Satyagraha. So what will he do? Even if he has to suffer hardships, but he will not retaliate, means he will not fight back. So they also these satyagrahis also had to suffer imprisonment, beating and all that, but they did not fight back, they did not retaliate. Then we also had a look at non-cooperation. Now if you remember, when I was telling you about non-cooperation in brief, I told you that Gandhiji, he was of the view that the Britishers were able to establish their rule in India because we the Indians cooperated with them, and if we stop cooperating with them, then the British rule in India, it will come to an end. And so under this movement, Gandhiji, he asked the people to boycott things British goods, British cloth, schools, colleges, and courts, government offices and all. And so under the boycott method we had this, and obviously uh, under non-cooperation, so people, they stop cooperating and they boycott everything British. Then the third point, if you turn to page number 128, he assigned a mass character to the national movement. Now, before Gandhiji he came on the scene, now before that also, the people, they have had certain revolts or rebellions against the British, but mostly they were localized or in some area only. And even if you remember, while we were doing the revolt of 1857, we saw, or the Indian mutiny, we saw that it was only mainly in north and central areas of our country, so it did not reach the entire country. And now Gandhiji, he believed that a real national movement should include all the people of the country. And so he was not only satisfied that the upper section of the society, they have joined the national movement, or the middle section, but he wanted all people to join the national movement. And so he worked even among the poor people and the harijans, the people, the farmers and all, and listened to their problems, tried a way to sort their problems, so that all these people may also come and join the national movement. And so because of Gandhiji, the national movements, they became mass movements. The common people in large numbers, they also came and joined the national movement. Okay. Now Gandhiji, I told you that when he came to India, first he took a tour of the entire country, and he came to the conclusion that a real independence we will only get not only just after the Britishers leave our country, but when all the social evils also which are prevalent in our country, they are removed. Then only in real terms we will get independence. And so Gandhiji, therefore, it was social reforms. He talked about social reforms, and he also led out a movement to remove this curse of untouchability. Uh, do you know anything about untouchability? Do you know who were called untouchables? How were they treated? Anything about the untouchables?
Yes,
Ma'am,
ma'am.
Dalits are called
Dalits are called untouchables.
Okay. And how were they treated by the upper sections of a society? Any idea? The upper sections of a society, how did they treat the Dalits?
Ma'am, they treated them like they were their slaves.
All right, they treated them with contempt. All right, looked down upon them. And not only them, the people of the high caste, they thought that their mere touch can make a person impure. All right, so means even if an untouchable people belonging to those lower category, even if they touch you, then you will become impure, you will become dirty. And so these untouchables, they were not allowed to even take water from the public wells, from where everyone can take out water. They were not allowed to take water from the public wells. Then the children were not allowed to go to school. They also could not go to the temples to offer prayers and all that. And so Gandhiji, he worked hard to remove this evil of untouchability. Then he also worked for the upliftment of women. In our country, women, at that time, obviously, they were not treated with respect and regard. Now also in many places it is like that, but still now the condition is much better. So at that time he worked for the upliftment of women also. Then the Harijan movement. Now Gandhiji, he wanted that the untouchables should not remain a separate part of a society, but they should become a part of a society. They should be integrated in a society. And so he worked for the upliftment of the untouchables, and he gave them the name of Harijans. What does Harijan mean? What does the term Harijan mean? Do you have any idea? Okay, you break the word. What does Hari means? Hari is used for? Hari is used for? Yes, class 8th. Hari is used for God. Hari is God. And Jan, people. So Harijan means people of God. So he called Harijans the people of God. And he tried to remove the hatred from the minds of the people by living with them and by eating with them, so that somehow he may able to remove this hatred from the hearts and minds of the common people. Okay, then Khadi and Charkha. Now for the upliftment of the rural masses, people who live in rural areas, and for them also Mahatma Gandhi, he talked about the use of khadi and adopted charkha. Now he said that people, they should wear things made in their own country. We talked about boycott, if you remember. And so when you boycott, when you don't use British cloth, then obviously you need to have cloth, you still need to wear it. And so it combined with swadeshi, that you use things which are made in your own country. And so he talked about khadi, that people, they should wear cloth which is made in their own country. And then he adopted charkha as a symbol of national movement. Now he wanted that every person should be self-dependent, means you should be dependent on yourself, you should not be dependent on others. All right, and that everyone should work for what he eats. So if a person who does not work, the person should not eat. All right, so all the people, they should work to earn their own livelihood, or to work to earn their own food. And so he even incorporated charkha as a symbol of national movement. And then under Gandhiji, the boycott of foreign goods means not using foreign goods, and picketing of shops. So they also did not use things British. And then even the shops which were selling British goods, so they stopped them to sell their goods. So they used to stand in front of the shops which were selling British goods, and they stopped them from selling them. That is called as picketing. So boycott and picketing, it became a part of the national movement. Now the seventh point here. Now Gandhiji, he firmly believed that till the time the Hindus and the Muslims, they do not unite, we will not be able to oust the British from our country. And so he talked about and he practiced Hindu Muslim unity, and he even gave up his life for that particular cause. Now earlier, under the British rule in India, the system of elections, it was indirect, means directly the people, they did not elect their representatives. But later on, what they did, they changed the system of election from indirect to direct, that now the people, they can directly elect their representatives like we do now. But there was a difference. Now what this was, that it allowed the Sikhs to elect their own representatives. The Anglo-Indians, who are Anglo-Indians? Anglo-Indians. Anglo is used for AD. Any idea? Anglo-Indians. Anglo is used for English. So half Indian, half English. So means the Anglo-Indians, they should elect their own representatives. European will elect their own representatives. Anglo-Indians will elect their own representatives, and Sikhs will elect their own representatives. So basically, what happened? This encouraged communalism, differences on the basis of religion and classes. So basically, what happened now? Different religious groups and different social groups, they elected they elected their own representatives. So basically, it caused more disunity on the basis of religion among the people. Now, a little bit about Jallianwala Bagh incident. I have already told you a little bit about it. Let's study more about it. Now, on 13th April 1919, a huge public, they had gathered in the Jallianwala Bagh at Amritsar. Now this was to protest against the arrest of leaders. Now if you remember, when I talked to you about the Rowlatt Act, do you remember Rowlatt Act? The Rowlatt
Yes, ma'am.
Satyagraha? Okay. Does anyone know what was this Rowlatt Act? Whatever you remember, you can tell me.
Ma'am, there was a law passed through British, so without any trial, any public leader can be arrested.
Alright, so basically what is said, that anyone could be arrested without a warrant and imprisoned without a trial for a period of 2 years. So it was basically for political prisoners, alright, and people who stood up or criticized the British and their governance and the way they ruled. So anyone who opposed them, alright, he was simply arrested without a warrant and he could be imprisoned without a trial for a period of 2 years. Okay, so now on this particular day, huge public, they have gathered, and now because of this Rowlatt Act, if you remember, throughout the country we had satyagrahas, and people, they protested against this act. And in what happened, that many national leaders, they were also arrested. So here in Punjab, at Amritsar, what happened, the people, they were protesting against the arrest of two important national leaders. And now the meeting, it was a peaceful meeting. And I also told you about that day was also the day of the Baisakhi festival. So many people from the nearby areas, they have also come. Now because of this Rowlatt Satyagraha, there was a ban on public meeting, and the people who came from the nearby areas, they did not know that there was a ban. So they also came and gathered, because there was a fair of Baisakhi festival going on. And then there were people who were there peacefully protesting against the arrest of the people. When General Dyer, he got to know about that a huge crowd has gathered, so he came there along with the soldiers. And the park was made in such a manner that there was just one entry and exit point. So he came and he closed the exit, and then he ordered his men to fire at the people, and they shot till the time all the ammunition was over. And around 1,000 people were killed, and 2,000 they got injured in the incident. And this incident, it shocked the entire country, because in this, the innocent civilians, they were killed. Means they were not doing anything, they did not possess any arms and weapons. They were there for a peaceful meeting. Many were just there for the Baisakhi fair. And so this incident, it shocked the entire country. And in protest, Rabindranath Tagore, he gave up his title of knighthood. So he had been given the title of knighthood by the Britishers, but in protest, he gave back this title. Okay, now this Jallianwala Bagh tragedy, along with Khilafat agitation, it brought, so this first Jallianwala Bagh, and then along with that the Khilafat movement, it brought Gandhiji to the front of our national movement. Okay, now let's see what this Khilafat movement was all about. Now, this Khilafat movement, it was a Islamic movement, a Muslim movement in India during the British rule. And basically, now this was this was an attempt by the Indian Muslims to come together, to unite, and to support the Turkish Empire, which was ruled by the Khalifa. Now, what happened, if you remember, after the First World War, now Turkey, they were on the loser side, and UK, obviously, they were on the winner side. And so after the First World War, very harsh terms of treaty were given to Turkey. And now what happened, that the ruler of Turkey, the king or the Khalifa, or the Caliph of Turkey, he was considered to be the Caliph or the Khalifa of the entire Muslim world. So all the Muslims throughout the world, they considered him to be the custodian of Islam, means the one who protects, all right, and who takes care, who's responsible for protecting and taking care of Islam. And so he was considered like that. And after the First World War, such harsh terms of treaty were given to Turkey, and his powers were also reduced a lot. And so obviously the people did not like it. In Turkey also, we had a Khilafat movement, and throughout the world also, in many places, the Muslims, they stood up in support of Turkey. And so here also, the Indian Muslims, they got together to support Turkey against the Britishers. Okay. Now, so here, under the leadership of prominent Muslim leaders, and one among them was Maulana Abul Kalam Azad, so they launched the Khilafat movement in many parts of North India. Now, whenever Khilafat movement comes to mind, here though they have not mentioned, two brothers are associated with the Khilafat movement. They are called as Ali brothers, Muhammad Ali and Shaukat Ali. So Muhammad Ali and Shaukat Ali, along with Maulana Abul Kalam Azad, they launched the Khilafat movement in many parts in North India. Now, this Khilafat movement, it was against the British government, and this also received the support of Mahatma Gandhi. And Mahatma Gandhi, he tied this Khilafat movement along with his non-cooperation movement. Now basically the main objective was to bring the Muslims also under the umbrella of national movement. Now if you remember, Gandhiji, he knew that till the time the Muslims and the Hindus, they unite together, we will not be able to fight against the Britishers. And so when this Khilafat issue came back, Gandhiji, he knew that this was a perfect time, and so he took up this Khilafat issue. And with that, when the Congress, they decided to take up the Khilafat issue, so along with that, the Muslims, they also came and joined the movement in large numbers. And so by mid 1920, the Khilafat leaders, they assured full support to the non-violent. So by 1920, mid 1920, what happened? The Khilafat leaders, they also said that okay, now we give full support to the methods, non-violent methods of Gandhiji. And now this helped in the establishment of a united front of Hindus and Muslims against the British government. Now, this Khilafat movement, though Gandhiji, he took up this movement, and in many books you will not find the Khilafat movement and non-cooperation movement under separate headings. You will find it in many books, you will find it as non-cooperation Khilafat movement also. Now, but this Khilafat movement, it did not last for long. Now, I told you that the non-cooperation movement, it had to be called off abruptly after that violent incident in Chauri Chaura. And now Gandhiji, he was against all sorts of violence, and this movement, this non-cooperation movement, though it was to be non-violent, but in many places it was turning violent. And then finally, after that incident in Chauri Chaura, Gandhiji, he called off the non-cooperation movement. And then this movement, this non-cooperation Khilafat movement, it got its final blow in March 1924, when what happened, the original Khilafat movement, which began in Turkey, now it was abolished. It came to an end. Why? Because the Islamic country, it converted from a sultanate to a republic. So when Turkey, it converted from a sultanate to a republic, what it meant, that now there was no king, no emperor, no caliph, no khalifa. Now it was a republic. What is a republic? Do you know what form of government is a republic? Any idea? What is a republic? All this I have taught you. Republic is a form of government in which the head of the country is an elected person and not a hereditary ruler. So now what happened in Turkey, it was no more headed by a caliph or a khalifa, but now it became a republic that elected representatives were now the head of the country. And so there in Turkey, the original Khilafat movement, it came to an end. So obviously in India also, this Khilafat movement, it suffered a setback. Okay. So that is all the time we have for today. I hope you all have understood what we have done today. Is it clear to all of you?
Yes, ma'am.
All right.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.